Okay, this is a reaction video, German police versus American police. Now, I saw this one today, and I put it on here to do it today because I just did a video. If you want to look at it, I'll put the link in the description below, where I basically not had to deal with the American police, but I was a jurist on a criminal trial in the United States, and it left me a little bit, well, how can I, best where I can put it is a little bit annoyed about the whole process. But that is what it is. You can watch the video. Like I said, I'll put the link in the description below. But German police versus American police. This is from Passport 2. Please click like, share, and subscribe for them. And like, share, and subscribe for me as well.
Last week I was taste testing German Christmas cookies. Today I'm going to share with you the differences in my personal run-ins with the law in both Germany and the US. What a weird mixed bag of content.
Now, when I was in Germany, one of the things that I did see, and I've said this on other videos before, there were so many. I felt incredibly safe in Germany. I feel safe in the United States as well. But when we were walking around, there was always two officers that you could see on each of the street. I don't know how they did that, but it was very nice, and you felt very, very safe when you were in Germany. And I don't recall seeing them having firearms on them, but I could be wrong on that. Okay, but I do remember also when I left Germany, we went through this first. We went through three security checkpoints. First one we went through when we did our orders with our bags, which is what I normally expect with TSA in the United States. The second one was a guy with an AK-47. I'm guessing he was German military, and he was built like a brick. You know what? He was built, very strong. He had an AK-47, and he gave me a very thorough pat down, and I appreciated that because, I want to make sure that I'm not blowing up over the northern ocean, the North Atlantic. And the third one was when we got to the gate, we were also searched as well. So I felt very safe, and I liked the way they did that in Germany. I really appreciated that.
Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. I am Donnie, and along with my wife Aubrey, we are two Americans currently living in Germany with our baby, sharing all of our experiences living and traveling throughout Europe. I hate talking politics on YouTube, and I've said this multiple times on our channel, but when we're talking about the
Look, there are two things, and I learned this myself, two things you don't discuss in public unless you're with somebody you absolutely trust, are politics and religion. Okay? I put up a video which I had to take down because I was getting too many people didn't understand my point of view. Did it with a friend of mine, and it was getting a lot of views but a lot of hate. And because everybody has their own opinions on things, and it probably was something I shouldn't have put up in the first place. And that's why I took it down, because it was more trouble than it was worth. People just didn't understand from a U.S. perspective on certain things, and that's why I try to avoid it.
At least for a lot of people, this can't help but be a political topic, unfortunately. I think more so, this is especially true in the US, where the police have become such a hot button topic. So for those of you that think that this is what this video is, it's not. What this video is me talking about my personal and individual observations of police between the US and Germany through my interactions and encounters with them in both countries.
Yeah, and mine exactly. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and badmouth the police, nor am I going to make a stand one way or the other on them. Okay, I'm just going to react to what he's saying. And like I said, I just had to deal with as a jurist in the court system, and I have my opinions of the police, but I'm just going to react to what he's talking about, the differences between the United States and the police force in the United States and the police force in Germany. And I do respect law enforcement as well.
Yes, because I have had encounters with the police in both countries, unfortunately. But we'll get to that in a second. So yeah, I have to say that my worldview is of course shaped by who I am and where I'm from in the southern US state called Oklahoma, and where I live now in a southwestern German state called Rhineland-Pfalz. But you may have completely different experiences, which I would...
And again, that's where the comments come in. That's where comments for his channel and my channel come in. If you have comments, if you disagree with what we're saying, please. If I feel strong enough to respond to it, I will.
welcome hearing in the comments below. Also, in both the US and Germany, there are lots of different levels and types of police forces in the state, federal, or even city levels, for example, but I'm not going to get into all of those specifics in this video. This video is about the basic, general, overarching term police in these two countries. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today in my video. 911 or 112. Here's the police, in my view.
I'm guessing 911 is what you call an emergency in the United States. I'm guessing 112 is what you call it in Germany.
For Americans watching, if you come to Germany, the word for police in German is Polizei! So technically different, but also basically the same. In general, this is what a police officer looks like in the US, and this is what one looks like in Germany. There are sometimes variations to uniforms based on what specific type of police they are or where they are located, but this is generally what you can expect to see. For me as an American, one of the most interesting things to find out when I first saw German police was what they actually carry on them. In a previous video where I talked about things I thought about Germany before moving here, there is a general belief that Europeans are so anti-gun that they don't really exist in Europe, and sometimes
I never thought that Europeans were anti-gun. Okay, I never thought that. But I thought I didn't think there would be as many guns in Europe as well. I didn't think they were anti-gun, but I didn't think there would be as many guns.
there can be false rumors created that European police officers don't even routinely carry.
And I don't recall them seeing guns, but I don't know if I really looked very hard. But I guess what he's telling me is that they do, and so I'm wrong about that.
Guns. And that may be true in some cases for some other European countries, but I remember specifically when we first moved here, looking to see if German police officers routinely carry guns, because I thought that they might not based on those American rumors. But I learned that the German police do in fact generally carry firearms. So overall, the general appearance and I guess what they carry actually isn't that different in my opinion and experiences, unless of course we are comparing German police specifically to the Texas Highway Patrol, which do look very, well, Texas.
Cowboyish.
So besides the actual police officers themselves, the other iconic part to police forces are their vehicles, of course. So first off, in the US, I've seen a picture that floats around Facebook to show a supposed problem with American police forces, and that is this one. Of course, this...
Okay, European police cars versus American police cars. You can't see it. The one on the left is, in the blue and yellow is the European, and the black one, which has no sirens on it, is the American one. It says designed to be seen by citizens in need of police assistance day or night as the law intends, or designed to not be seen by citizens or officers officers collect revenue through violations and infractions. Still think it's about now. With all due respect, I have never. I'm 53 years old. I live in the United States all my life. Well, not all my life. I grew up in Bermuda, but from age 6, I guess, onward, I have never seen a police car like that on the right. I have never, ever in my life. They all had sirens on them. They all said police on them to protect and to serve. I have never seen that particular American police car in my life.
This isn't exactly a German police car on the left. That would actually be this. But the entire point of this post is kind of lost when I then informed these American friends that there are actually, in fact, undercover police cars in Germany as well, and non-undercover American police cars exist, of course, as well. However,
now, obviously, when I say I've never seen that police car before, well, that's intended to be that way. But the other thing is, yeah, I would not surprise me if they had undercover police cars in Germany, and the police cars, that's what I'm used to seeing in the United States. I'm not saying that other one doesn't exist. I just have never heard of that or ever seen anything like that. Or because usually whenever there's a big fracas that requires police attention, all the police officers are there, and you might see an undercover cop car there. But I like to this day, I've never seen one.
I will definitely admit that in general, the German police cars are much more visible and recognizable immediately because of the bright colors they use, unlike American police cars, which sometimes, even if they aren't undercover, may require a second look to make sure it is in fact a police car and not a civilian vehicle.
I don't know about that. Okay, I can't say I completely agree with that. Now he's in Oklahoma, I'm in Ohio. I've never had that situation where I sat and looked and said had to do a double take to make sure that was a police car or not.
U.S. police forces use an extremely wide array of vehicles, so I can't definitely say one make or model is the typical American police car, but generally some of the most popular are going to be Dodge Chargers or Ford Explorers and Chevy Tahoes. The makes and models of police cars in Germany can also vary, with popular choices being Mercedes-Benz E-Classes or Vitos, for example. One of the other biggest differences you can't actually see are, of course, the sounds they make. No, not the vroom vroom sound, the wee-woo sound. One thing I can speak from experience that our American friends and family who visit always comment about is how the sound landscape is different in Europe than in the US. In particular,
Yeah, I mean, look, I've seen enough movies to hear the police sirens in Germany or Europe versus the police sirens in the United States, and they are different.
when it comes to the sounds of sirens, and some even comment that since they have only ever heard the European siren in Hollywood blockbusters, they feel like they're on the set for a Jason Bourne movie when they first hear it during their visit in Europe. So brace yourself.
Now, I did actually hear that sound when I was in Germany. That particular sound. Now he's supposed to be in Berlin in that point in that part of the story. So
Because here is the traditional American siren. And the German siren. So, speaking of sirens, I alluded to the fact that I have had some encounters with the police in both countries.
I think everybody's had encounters with police in their country at some point in time, whether it's being pulled over on a traffic stop or just maybe you went into a convenience store and the police officer was there. But that's the extent of my involvement with police.
So let me tell you about those experiences, because there are big differences in the interactions that I have had with them. And also there's big differences in why I've had encounters with both police forces. So first off, let me burst.
I'm assuming you're not a criminal who's escaping, wanted in multiple places and they're fighting extradition.
Your bubble by saying that I don't have any kind of criminal history actually, but I have been pulled over on the road by police officers in both countries for traffic infractions. It's not that I'm a bad driver, it's just that I have an unfortunate medical condition called leadfoot, with the only cure being either police intervention or moving to Germany, where there are some sections of the highway without speed limits.
Translation, he speeds a lot, an awful lot.
So in the US, I have been pulled over for speeding a couple of times, and this typically happens when a police officer is usually parked on the side of the road, either hiding their car behind like a bush, a sign, or something else that you can't see them sitting there watching for speeders. This is how it happened to me.
Which is why if you see a cop car doing that, alert people know, flash your brights, let them know that there's a cop car waiting.
In almost all of the experiences, and the police officer would then pull behind me, turn their lights on, but if it doesn't get your attention, they might also do a short burst of their siren to get your attention. Once I pulled over, the solo officer parked their car behind me, walked up to the car, and then talked to me for a bit, ran my information if they deemed it necessary, and then decided if they were going to give me a ticket.
Translation, what they're doing is they're pulling him over to the side. They're checking to see if there's any outstanding warrants and how they should handle this individual. They're going to ask for your driver's license, make sure it's up to date, and probably proof of insurance, and maybe the title of the vehicle you're in. Make sure you're not in a stolen vehicle. At least that's what happened to me. And then they'll give you your ticket for whatever. I've only gotten one. They take it back twice. One ticket I got in the mail because they had a camera on me and I didn't stop all the way, so they sent me a ticket, and the other one was it was in a subdivision and they didn't think I stopped enough for the stop sign, and so they thought I was a rolling stop, and so they gave me a ticket for that. But I believe in Germany they don't pull behind you. I believe they pull in front of you. I believe that's how they do it there.
Or just a warning. This is very different from what I've experienced in Germany. So I've been pulled over once in Germany, but it actually wasn't for speeding. And I'll get to that reason in a minute. Aubrey and I were driving one day on a day trip when I needed to turn left onto a cross street, but it technically wasn't allowed. We were way outside of town and there wasn't anybody around, or so I thought, and I figured I would just go ahead and make the illegal turn rather than turning right, then having to find somewhere else to turn around. However, I quickly saw a Polizei van racing up behind me. The German police car, rather than following me and turning on its lights like in the US, it actually sped around and got in front of me. If this
Yeah, I've heard that. Here in Germany, they pull in front of you, not behind you.
happens in the US, then that typically means that they are going after someone else, and so I thought that I was off the hook because they weren't following me anymore. However, as it got in front of me, a little sign lit up on the back of the van with the words "Bitte folgen."
And if you don't speak German, bitte folgen, you may as well be saying, mop handle. Okay, don't understand, but probably ascertain it's not something you want to be seeing.
Time we were still new here, so I didn't know what that meant, but don't you worry, that sign then changed to English as if it read my mind.
Oh, wow.
To please follow.
Oh, that's very nice thing to have. Okay, uh, that's nice. That's pretty good.
They then found a safe place for us to pull over. I pulled over, and two police officers walked up on either side of my vehicle. The procedure was basically the same as in the US at this point, and they explained to me that the left turn wasn't supposed to be done, and then they gave me a warning and sent me on my way. So the procedures of getting pulled over in both countries are slightly different, but that's not the biggest difference I've experienced with the police, or actually, I should say, not experienced with the police in Germany, I guess.
Are you ready? Introducing the ultimate shopping experience. Dick's Sporting Goods.
For one, Germany doesn't really patrol streets with officers looking for speeders. So how do you get in trouble?
Okay, this is how I got in trouble in the United States. Like I said, one of my tickets was because of a camera. So I'm guessing what he's about to tell us is that in Germany they use the cameras.
For breaking the speed limit, you might ask my American friends. When we very first moved here, I rented a car locally, and as I was leaving the shop, the woman working ran after me and said, "Oh, just a warning, they just put a blitzer on the Autobahn." I said, "A what?" And she said, "A blitzer." And I said, "Oh, what?" We both were so confused, she not understanding why I didn't understand, and I not understanding what the heck a blitzer was. Honestly, I can't remember if she explained it to me or if I didn't learn what it was until I was then flying down the highway and got flashed by a bright light. But I learned that for the most part, Germany controls speed on all road types with cameras and radar rather than an actual police.
And again, like I said, there's some places in the United States where they do that as well.
Officer patrolling. These cameras can be permanent or portable. They can be disguised or somewhat obvious, but there are hidden cameras all over Germany waiting for you to speed by so that it can snap your picture and it'll let you know that you have a ticket coming with its bright flash. You then receive your ticket a few weeks later in the mail, which will have your lovely candid photo on it, a photo of your license plate, and all the information you need to pay your fine.
Again, that's how I got the ticket for the stop, the rolling stop. There was a place you could go on a website, the video, to show me that I actually didn't stop. And so I actually had a video as well.
Now, I'm not going to tell you how many of these candid pictures I have in my collection, but let's just say that I am very familiar with this process. But speaking of the speeding tickets, those were also a huge shock in Germany. And I guess you could say in a good way, because speeding tickets are ridiculously cheap in Germany. From what I am unfortunately used to in the US, it makes me actually question if this really stops people from speeding with such a small slap on the wrist. First,
yeah, because in the United States, I think that rolling stop was like $90. I think both my tickets were about $90.
First off, both the US and Germany have general allowances they will typically give you crossing over the speed limit. For example, the general rule of thumb is 4 miles per hour or 4 kilometers per hour over the speed limit. The thing is, those look similar, but the conversions actually reveal a pretty big difference, and a vast majority of the tickets that I've gotten in Germany has been just above that general allowance.
Now, to be fair, the closest thing we have to the Autobahn in the United States is if you're in the Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota area of the United States. Because I can remember driving 95 miles an hour in Wyoming, not a soul around us, or if there was maybe one or two cars that were pretty much doing the same thing and never saw a police officer at all. Our pictures were never snapped. Nobody sent us a ticket or anything like that. But we were going at a pretty good click and uh, didn't have any trouble. That's probably the closest thing we have to the Autobahn in the United States.
That in the US would be in the allowance and wouldn't warrant a ticket. For example, I have a German speeding ticket for going 6 kilometers per hour over the speed limit, which is about 3.7 miles per hour, and that wouldn't really be a big deal in the US. And again, I'm not making excuses. I totally deserve those tickets for going over. I agree, just comparing how the different units of measurement and mindsets translate. These minor breaking of the speed limit in Germany will generally get us a ticket of around 20 to 30 euro depending on where you break,
which isn't bad, which is very good actually.
Speed limit, unlike in Oklahoma where it'll cost you a whopping $172.
Yeah, it didn't cost that much. I've never got a speeding ticket, but I've gotten like the 2 tickets that I got were for rolling past a stop sign, and those were about $90.
Unfortunately, the biggest ticket I've ever received in Germany was for going 24 kilometers per hour over and cost 98 euro 50 cents plus 1 point in Flensburg, but I'm not talking about that in this video. In Oklahoma, this would have cost me $203. Since we have lived in Germany though, the prices have been increasing and my first few tickets were only for like 10 euro before they started increasing the prices, and I thought that these were especially cheap compared to what I was used to in Oklahoma at the time. One other thing that we have taken note of in Germany, and was actually subtly mentioned in my being pulled over stories, and that is the fact that American police do sometimes travel around in pairs or groups, but generally you see police officers on patrol alone, whereas in Germany, we've noticed that we generally see police officers at least in pairs a vast majority of the time. We've seen this and taken note of it so much so that I've even looked up to see if German police officers are required by law to work in pairs, and I found on the City of Hagen's police Facebook page this exact question asked, and they explained no, that they don't actually have to. But like I said, in the US, I'm used to seeing police officers generally working alone.
It really depends on the circumstance and where you are. If you see a in a inner city, in a rough part of town, you'll generally see 2 police officers in the car. If you're out in the suburbs and like where crime isn't very big, it's usually a single police officer. Now it could vary. Sometimes you see two cops in the nice part of town and 1 cop, but it's usually that's where you see 2 versus where you see 1. Okay.
Alone enough that I notice it as a very big difference in Germany, where nearly every policeman or woman has a partner with them at all times. To be honest, I think this is a great practice and should be more encouraged, as it can hopefully provide more accountability and help in high-stress situations, rather than leaving it up to one person to figure out how to police a situation. Of all the differences that I have found and noticed about the police in the US and Germany, the most shocking difference for me is what it requires to become a police officer. So, first off, police in the US are not awarded any kind of diploma or degree for completing training as a police officer, and there are also no college degree requirements to join the police. In terms of how long it takes to become a police officer, I found the City of Oklahoma City Police's website where they described for their police force that police academy lasts approximately 28 weeks, and upon successful completion of the academy, the recruit is assigned to the field training officer program for 4 to 6 months. After this, the newly graduated recruits are assigned as solo patrol officers. So in total, it seems like we're looking at about 10 to 13 months of training before being able to go solo and fight crime. However, in Germany, the system is different in that in order to become a police officer, your training is a Bachelor of Arts degree and is a minimum of 3 years of studying before you can call yourself a police officer. So essentially, 1 year of training, at least in Oklahoma, versus 3 years of training in Germany, with German officers also receiving a university degree from their education. To me, a huge difference. To see who made it this far into the video,
that is a huge difference, but I think that look, I do support the local police officers. In fact, a guy I know who I worked with at a previous job of mine has recently become a police officer in Columbus, and I have no doubt in his ability to do his job. I feel completely safe with the police, and I felt, like I said, I felt completely safe with the German police.
Yo, the random question of the week is France or Germany? Who has the best bread? Thanks so much.
Since I can't, I've never been to France, and I've only been to Germany, and I've had German bread. The Germans win by default, but that's neither here nor there. When I go to France, I'm pretty sure France will overtake the Germans on that. But we'll find that out when I get there. But hey, this is great. Please click like, share, and subscribe for Passport 2, and please click like, share, and subscribe for me as well. This was fun. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching.